Welcome everyone. Today we have the 2022 Nissan Frontier, but now we have the Pro-X instead of the Pro 4X. The Pro-X is still a top trim level, but it's only two-wheel drive instead of four-wheel drive like the Pro 4X. So is this an ideal two-wheel drive truck? We're gonna take a full detailed look at all of the exterior details, the interior details, and get it out on the road, take it for a test drive. I'm gonna show you everything that you get with this all new redesigned Nissan Frontier. Real quick before we get started, thank you so much for watching. My name is Nolan. I do full reviews like this every single week and a variety of other videos. I have more videos on the Nissan Frontier as well if you want to see the Pro 4X, a full review of that, even a night review, and things that I like and don't like about it. Look in the description below. But let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, let's take a look at these exterior details first. So this is a brand new design for 2022, inside and out. The Frontier is still a body-on-frame construction with the rear axle, so you don't lose any of the traditional truck aspects. Now right up front, you got Nissan's new logo, Frontier, right on the front. Then you're gonna get LED headlights and LED fog lights on the upper trims. And then you can see the daytime running light or the accent light up and below, above and below that headlight housing, which looks pretty sweet. You'll also see that you're gonna get a couple of red tow hooks down at the bottom. You also get a skid plate down there, but not as many as you do with the four-wheel drive model. And then you've got an LED blinker. So you've got full LED up front here. And if you wanna see these lights at night, I've got an entire video showing off the Pro 4X at night and how everything works. So be sure to check that out in the description below. The paint on this Frontier is the Boulder Gray Pearl. It's kind of a matte looking paint, similar to what we've seen on a lot of different vehicles nowadays with their different unique gray paints. I think it still looks good on here. I had the tactical green metallic before, if you want to check that out. This Pro-X is going to give you some large cladding around the wheels. You even get all-terrain tires and these 17-inch wheels that look like beadlock style wheels. Dimensionally, it's about 210 inches long. It's 5 inches longer than it used to be, and ground clearance is 9.8 inches with this two-wheel drive model, although we don't get a locking rear differential. The Pro-X still gives you some off-road shocks, but it's still not going to be quite the same off-road, obviously, as the four-wheel drive. And I'll talk about the cab configurations in a second, but this is the only way you can get this Pro-X and the Pro 4X. In the back, you're even going to find LED taillights. These kind of mirror the front accent lighting. You've got the red lava accents on the Nissan logo there. Frontier stamped into the back, and there's a full-size spare tire underneath of here. Now, one quick note, the Pro-X and Pro 4X can only be had in this configuration with the short bed. If you want to get the long box, you're going to have to go with the lower trim level and get the king cab. Now, one nice feature about this is that this is a lockable tailgate with your key fob, so it's power lockable. You still have a spot for your key, and it's standard as a soft damping tailgate as well. And on the back, you get kind of this plastic liner on the tailgate, but you've got the optional spray-in liner back here. And then the Pro models are going to give you the Utilitrack system standard, so you see it over there running across the back, and then even over on this side. I love the Utilitrack system. I did tie a couple things down back here, and it was really handy to be able to move the cleats wherever you want. So you can move them and put them on there. The only thing, unlike last generation, there's no floor mounted tie downs. I don't know if they're gonna add that, but that was really helpful at times. Otherwise, you're gonna get 4 standard tie downs, so you'll get 1 in each corner. You can see LED under rail lighting right there, also with this model. The light up there is just regular incandescent though, which is a little bit goofy, but this right here is an option. So this is a speaker holder for the Kicker audio system, which is an option. Then you got a 3-prong outlet back here as well. Now, a couple differences with this bed is the actual height of the bed walls is up about 1.5 inches. You've got 44.5 inches between the wheel wells, so not enough for 4x8 sheets, but you can create a platform in here and make it work. Now, Nissan gives you the same similar key fob. It's a skinny, slim key fob. You still get remote start on here and all the buttons that you need. It is the smart key system. So for this Frontier, you press this to just lock it or unlock it. There's no sensors or anything like that. But then over here on the door, you're gonna get soft material right here, soft armrest. Up here is hard, and if you like to have your arm out the window, there's a really hard, rough edge right here. Now, this is a pre-production model, so it's possible that that is why that's like that, but just something to know. Only one automatic one-touch window, but you've got some nice storage down here, a huge bottle holder and some extra storage. But over at the seats, this is one of my gripes. So I like the seats themselves. We have the optional leather seats. You don't have to have leather, but we've got leather in here. We've got PRO-4X branding on here. They've even got a little bit of bolstering on the side, not a ton, but they are comfortable. I've got no complaints with the actual seat itself. The lumbar support lever is still on the side of the seat. But then over here, check this out. So you don't have tilt adjustment. You cannot tilt the seat at all. You have height adjustment, but if you want this up or down, you cannot change the tilt whatsoever. And the other thing is the steering wheel is only tilt adjustment. It does not telescope out at all. That's kind of an oversight considering this is a brand new generation. Now the steering wheel is heated, so it is very comfortable to hold on to. The seats are also heated, and you'll see those controls right there. It's just 2-tier, high, low, then a heated steering wheel, no ventilated seats. And like I said, overall, I'm comfortable. This is my second time being able to spend a week in the Frontier, and I've had no complaints as far as comfort goes. Now, as we come into the back seat, there's a couple things I want you to know. First of all, over on the door, you've got another huge bottle holder. That is nice. You still get a soft armrest and soft material here for your passengers. They also get a grab handle, and then you still get leather seats back here. The seats are fairly upright, but they are leather. And then in the middle, you've got a center folding armrest that also has some really big cup holders. Usually you get these crappy little cup holders that are pointless in the middle. You can fold this top down and have a little bit of space back there, or find your jack kit on the other side. Otherwise, you have a 40-60 split to lift this up, and we have the speaker system here, but then you have a little bit of underseat storage under that side. So if you lift it up, you can see you'll have a little bit of space. There will be a hump in the middle right there, and then just a hump from the storage housing, but it's nice to have that flexibility. The Ford Ranger, the entire seat back folds up, so I love having a 40-60 split. And for those of you with families, I have to have that front seat a little bit further forward than I want to be able to fit a car seat back here, but it can still fit back here rear facing. I just can't put it behind myself where I'm comfortable. But for family duty, this is sufficient, and my wife sits back here and she can sit just fine and be able to hang out with my daughter. Now I'm 5'9", and sitting behind where I like to normally sit, I've got pretty good foot space and pretty good knee space for a mid-sized truck. So this is not bad at all. I really won't complain about that. You've got a couple of USB charging ports, just like you do in the front, USB-C and USB-A. And then you get a 3-prong outlet, 120 volt plug, optional on this Pro model. And then I can sit up tall. I can feel my hair touch a little bit, but otherwise, I've got enough room. Now let's hop inside, and there are definitely some changes. You'll see a different display up there, a bigger display over here, just some different material changes overall compared to the last Frontier, which started to feel fairly cheap, but utilitarian still. Start it up, push button start. You've got the digital display right in front of us. You've got this larger display over here as well. But starting here with the steering wheel, like I said, this is heated. It's also leather wrapped. The heating is optional here in the US, but it does heat the entire wheel. You'll see you have analog gauges on the side, and then in the middle is where you'll find all of your information, from trip computer stuff to driver assistance, features, things like that. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that you can see on here, and you can change it up a little bit. And then moving across, first of all, right up on the dash, I like this little storage pad. This is rubber lined, so stuff isn't going to slide around or rattle on there. And then lower trims give you an 8-inch screen, but we get a 9-inch screen. It's covered with a bunch of piano black around it, but I like how you have all these physical controls, the volume knob, tuning knob, and the screen works totally fine. I haven't really had any complaints with it, but it's very similar to other Nissan products. It's easy to use, it's easy to live with. It's still touchscreen if you want to use the touchscreen. Otherwise, you still can use a lot of stuff with the buttons down here. One nice thing is that we have the optional Fender audio system, which does sound really nice. Got some little Fender badging down there, and this is an optional speaker system setup even on this Pro model. This also gives you Wi-Fi, so it's got built-in Wi-Fi, and we have navigation. Now one thing, we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard, but you don't have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You have a wireless charging mat, but you have to be plugged in, at least as of right now, to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This will allow over-the-air updates, so I can only imagine Nissan will add that later on. Down here you get dual zone climate control, so that's good to see. I believe over here, I think this is where the 4-wheel drive controls were for the Pro 4X, but we don't have those in here, and we don't even have a rear locker, which is a big bummer. Let me move this out of the way. You've got heated seats, heated steering wheel, parking sensors, USB-C, USB-A, and then the passenger heated seats. And then you've got a little storage area down here, which is actually pretty decent size. You've got good size cup holders here as well, and then a wireless charging mat, which is conveniently placed. Now if we shift into reverse, we've got this intelligent around view monitor. So you can see top down right there. This doesn't really look like the best clarity right there, but you still get a hitch line. And even if you are in, let's say, drive approaching something, you can hit camera, that will pop up, hit camera again, and you can see next to your wheel. Like for example, if you're pulling up to a curb. This armrest has a little bit of cushion and padding to it. It does not slide forward, but it will pop up. You've got a 12-volt power outlet and a pretty deep storage area. Nissan also gives you a 12-volt power outlet here, a locking glove box, and kind of a unique material up here. It's not like soft, but it looks nice. We also get an automatic dimming rear view mirror, and I like these kinds of rear view mirrors because you've got garage controls on here, and the entire mirror is automatic dimming. It's not just some frameless piece that has a non-dimming section. Overhead, sunglass holder, and then we still get like a kind of a traditional style lights, but these are LED. Nissan's visor slides the entire visor. And then overhead you get a sunroof, just a standard size manual sunroof. There is a window that opens in the back, but it's manual opening. You can't open it from the driver's seat. Now for the last generation Frontier, for the 2020 model year, they brought out this new 3.8 liter V6, so that carries over from the 2020 model. As of right now, this is the only option, but it is still fairly powerful. This 3.8 liter V6 is direct injected and gives you 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission on any trim level. On this 2-wheel drive model, miles per gallon is 18 in the city, 24 on the highway, and 20 combined, and it drops to 19 combined when you go for the 4-wheel drive Pro 4X. The absolute maximum for towing is about 6,700 pounds, and that's going to come with the S trim level in King Cab. But this one in particular can tow 6,470 pounds. We'll get this out on the road in a second, but my only question is that how do you feel about the fact that it's only direct injected? There's no port injection, so I'd love to know what you think about that. All right, y'all, let's get behind the wheel of this Frontier. So this is not my first time driving the Frontier. I got to spend some time with it beforehand, and I've got to say I really liked my time behind the wheel. First of all, Nissan retained the hydraulic steering, which has a stiffer and more natural feel than a lot of the vehicles that you're going to drive today. One thing about it though is that it's definitely stiff enough to where at low speeds you can tell it doesn't loosen up quite as much as some. So some of you might not like that. You'll definitely have to take this out and drive it for yourself. But I think it feels better than it did on the last generation Frontier, even though we still had hydraulic then. But I like it. And I love the feel of the V6. A nice, naturally aspirated powertrain, 9-speed automatic transmission has been pretty smooth for the most part. I have had some clunks and I had a little bit of complaints before, but for the most part, it's responsive, smooth, and it sounds pretty good too for a 3.8 liter V6. There is one way that this truck is dramatically improved, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but you're gonna still feel right at home behind the wheel in this Frontier if you are coming from the old Frontier or even from full-size trucks or other mid-size trucks. I mean, you're just gonna feel right at home. It's an easy truck to live with. It's an easy truck to drive. The ride comfort in here obviously isn't gonna be, you know, on the same level as the Honda Ridgeline or Hyundai Santa Cruz, because those are basically crossover frames, crossover bodies. And this has a body on frame with a solid rear axle, so you're gonna feel some of the bumps, but I gotta say this is still comfortable to drive around. I mean, when I can drive around and my wife doesn't complain about it being bumpy, then we're good. Everything's good. One more thing to note about the steering, this does have a better turning radius than it did last generation. I know that was such a big deal. This is a little bit longer, but it still has a slightly smaller turning radius, and you can tell the difference when you're trying to turn. It's still not great, but it's good enough to be able to park this thing and maneuver it just fine. Now just getting going here. Remember, this is 2-wheel drive, no 4-wheel drive on the Pro-X. That's the Pro 4X. Just kind of rolling here, pedal down. Well, it took a minute to get going. Then once you get going, you've got the sound, and those are some very smooth shifts, smooth transitions, smooth shifts, and obviously there's a little bit of body lean, but day-to-day city driving, street driving, it holds its own. It does really well. It's not going to be quite as punchy as the Ford Ranger with that turbo because of all the torque that comes out so quickly, but the power in here is still very, very good. And the torque is still good too. It just comes out a little later and a little slower. Passing power is good. This is just partial pedal, and it drops down pretty smoothly, pretty quickly. It took a while to really kick down back there a ways, but that was fine. This also comes with radar cruise control, a lane departure alert system, so you can get some of the driver assist features if you want. We've even got blind spot indicator in the mirror, automatic emergency braking, we've got rear cross traffic alert. So I mean, this truck comes with a lot of, I guess you could say, modern features that you're seeing on a lot of vehicles nowadays. My biggest qualm is that this is a 2-wheel drive truck and it's only a limited slip in the back. By braking, I wish we had a locking rear, at least an optional electronic locking rear, or even an automatic locking rear like you get with GM. That would be nice as well, but you're just kind of stuck with the limited slip. Coming to a stop, the brake honestly kind of has a little bit of a different feel to it. There's been some times where it almost catches, like there's nothing, and then all of a sudden it starts to brake kind of hard. Maybe it takes a little getting used to. All right, let's go ahead and get on it with this V6 again, and then I'll tell you the biggest improvement. Nice smooth powertrain, but now we're on a rough surface textured road that generally brings in a lot of road noise, and this Frontier is dramatically quieter than it was before. It makes it a little more comfortable to drive long distances, more family friendly, just more pleasant to drive overall. You even have laminated glass here on the side, so you've got double pane thicker glass and better sound suppression from underneath. I've got to say, as far as I can remember, this is the quietest mid-sized truck that I have driven. This is pretty darn quiet. I'll put the decibel ratings down below. But let's go ahead and wrap things up. Overall, I like driving this truck. It's good ergonomics, good practicality for the most part, smooth V6 powertrain. I like it. So to wrap things up on this 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-X, it's going to be $3,000 less because it is 2-wheel drive instead of 4-wheel drive like the Pro 4X, and you still get a whole bunch of the bells and whistles and the available packages that you get with the Pro 4X. So basically, it just doesn't have 4-wheel drive. The only thing I wish, when you have a 2-wheel drive truck, your traction in the back is essential. This is only a limited slip in the back. There's no rear locker on this 2-wheel drive model. The Pro 4X gets an electronic locking rear. This one should definitely get one too, because you're going to need it even more than you would on the 4-wheel drive model. But with that being said, I like what Nissan did for this 2022 model. It's more modern, it's got more features, it still has the naturally aspirated V6, good displacement. It looks nice too. I like what they did with everything, and inside is still fairly practical and spacious enough for a mid-sized truck. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Would you go for this Pro-X as a 2-wheel drive truck also? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.